At its peak in 1944, the US Air Force had 10,000 aeroplanes and 500,000 personnel stationed in Britain. In terms of men and machines, they were the largest combat air force in history. 50,000 of them died or were missing in action. 70,000 RAF personnel also died or were missing in action. This film is dedicated to all the men and women of the 8th US Air Force, the 9th US Air Force, and the Royal Air Force, who lost their lives in the Second World War. In January 1933, Adolf Hitler became Chancellor of Germany, and within the space of a few short months had withdrawn from both the League of Nations and the Disarmament Conference. Meanwhile, in open defiance of the Versailles Treaty, he was rearming. Before long, he would announce the rebirth of the Luftwaffe and the creation of an army more than 500,000 strong. But while Western politicians tried to prevent a repetition of the events of 2 decades earlier, the transformation of the Royal Air Force had already begun. In 1931, Britain had won the Schneider Trophy with a course speed of 340 miles per hour. A few days later, the world speed record had risen to 407 miles per hour. The days of the biplane fighter had gone for good. Clearly, a completely new type of fighter aircraft would be needed, and with it, a new type of armament. With a rate of fire limited by unreliable machine guns mounted on the nose and firing through the propeller, the old system of armament would have little effect against an aircraft traveling at over 300 miles an hour. For Britain, the breakthrough came in 1934. From a combination of Air Ministry specification F534 and the work of a handful of dedicated men came the first of the 8-gun fighters, the Hawker Hurricane and the immortal Supermarine Spitfire. These two vital machines were to form the mainstay of the RAF's fighter command. Hawkers were first, with the Mark I Hurricane making its maiden flight on November the 6th, 1935. 4 months later, on March the 5th, 1936, the prototype Spitfire took to the air for the first time. They had a lot in common. Both were powered by what was to become the most famous aero engine of all time, the Rolls-Royce Merlin. And although the layout differed, both were equipped with 8.303 Browning machine guns mounted in the wings. George Unwin was to become the RAF's highest-scoring NCO in the Battle of Britain.
The Spitfire had a better chance, I suppose, of hitting a rapidly moving target because of the spread of the 8 guns. But on the other hand, it wasn't as effective as the concentration of the Hurricane's 8 guns, which were in 2 close-knit 4s. And that's what made it such a good aircraft for shooting down bombers. It was a very good aircraft for that. And it could take an awful lot of punishment, of course. It really could. It's very solid, but very slow.